Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week I decided to put together a list that's probably long overdue. There are so many other channels telling you, oh, find this, find that, and it's all clickbait. You could find one of these in your wallet worth thousands of dollars. No, you can't. Or this is a fancy serial number. It's a trinary and it's a true trinary. It's worth all. No, it's not. So it's about time somebody put together an actual top 10 list of notes you can find in circulation that actually have value. So let's dive into this one. If you are a strap searcher, this is the stuff that you're actually gonna find. Just about every note in this collection I have found or found a similar example of. So I know they're out there. I know they're actually worth more than face value. They are hard to find, but they legitimately can be found. Are they worth $1 million? No, but they are worth something over face. All right, so let's get started. Number 10. One of the first notes you're going to be looking for is an experimental note. This is a web press note. These were available from 1988A, 1993, and 1995. They're experimental notes. They tried to print notes using what's called a web-fed press. In your mind, imagine an old movie showing a newspaper being printed and all of the papers circulating through that giant machine as it gets printed. That's a web-fed press. They tried to print money that way because it would be much faster, and they wanted to see if the engravings would hold up. It did not. But the money that was printed was still legit, so they released it into circulation. The web-fed press notes are identifiable by a couple different ways. First of all, you're only going to have a single little number over here identifying the plate. Normal notes have an indicator over here saying their location on the sheet. Since web-fed press notes were done on a continuous roll of paper, there was no sheet, so there is no sheet location marker here. So you're looking for just that one solitary little digit. Then on the back plate number on most notes is going to be down here, but on a web press note, it's up here. If you find a web press note in circulation, you're talking a note that's going to be worth anywhere from $10 all the way up to some of the rare stars are $1,500. But realistically, if you find a regular web note, you're talking $10, $15, $20 for that web note. So that's number 10 on my list. Number 9. This is what's known as a radar. A radar reads the same forward and back. If I start here, the first letter and the last letter are both zeros, and then we move in one, that's 8, and then we move in one, that's 2, and then we move in another one, that's 2, I can read. It's 08122180. The number reads the same forward and back. 08122180 or 08122180. Same way forward and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's an example of a radar. Radars are 1 in 10,000 roughly, because you can have any digit you want as the first 4, and there are 10,000 combinations for all the other numbers that are there. So 1 out of every 10,000 should be a radar. That puts its value at about $20 to $40 if you happen to find one. You have to search 10,000 notes to find one. So if you're searching 100 notes a week, it may take you a while to find one. But they're out there. I found this one. I found a lot of them. I'm not going to pull them all out, but that's a radar. That is number 9. Number 8 is the cousin of a radar. This is what's called a repeater. You can see here the first 4 digits repeat. So you have 8112, 8112. The first 4 digits repeat in the same order as the last 4 digits. Once again, there are 10,000 ways you can make a 4-digit number, and only one of them is going to be in the same order. So it is equally as rare as a radar. A repeater is worth just as much as a radar, somewhere in that $20 to $40 range based on condition. And yes, you can find these in circulation. Takes a little bit of work. They're not easy, but they're out there. I've found a number of them. So that's number 8. Number 7. This is known as a binary. It only has 2 different digits. This particular one has 5s and 4s. Binaries will sell for about $10 or so. Very difficult to find. I don't come across these too often. I don't have the stats on these, but yes, this is something that would be worth a little bit over face value. Like I said, probably in the $10 range or so. And it is something you can find if you're diligent enough. So it's not ridiculously rare, but worth keeping. That one is number 7. Number 6. Slightly different. This is what's known as a true binary. A binary has 2 different digits, so this particular note has zeros and ones. There is something called the binary code, which is how computer programmers operated and worked from the 1960s to the late 1990s. It may even carry on today with your, what would be a good example? Barcodes, because a barcode, either there's a black line there or it isn't, and the thickness of the black line means there's either black space or there's nothing there, and that's binary. It's on or off. It's white or black. It's 0 or 1. So a binary, true binary, that's what this is called, is when you're talking about a number that only contains zeros and ones. Computer programmers thought these were fascinating back in the day, and that's what started the whole craze with fancy serial numbers, people looking for true binaries. It would be fun to find a couple of these and string them together and see if it actually said anything in binary code. That's what makes these fun. True binaries, they can be upwards of $100 because they are that hard to find. You're looking for a specific type of binary, just zeros and ones. So you're limited as to how many of these are printed. Makes it exciting when you do find one. That is number 6. Number 5. This combines a lot of different elements. First and foremost, it's a binary, so there's zeros and twos are the only digit. Secondly, it's a radar. It reads the same forward and back, 0020, 0200. And third, this fancy serial number happens to be on a star. Yes, I found this in circulation. When you're starting to combine different elements, you have a star, a binary, and a radar. Well, now you're starting to add in a little bit in the value section. I would think this would be in the $100 to $200 range specifically because it's a fancy serial number on a star. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not trying to buy one. I found it. I know it's worth over face value, and I was excited to have it. Because I found it, it means more to me than it would to anybody else, so I'm not looking to sell it at any price. At least not now. That one is number 5, when you have a note with multiple designations. Number 4. Sometimes there are errors that you're going to find on notes. This particular one, the error, happens to be on the plate number. It's an engraving error, and what happened is on plate 295 of the 1995 series, they changed the size of the font used. So if you have any 295 from the 1995 series, that features an engraving error. The engraving error was when they engraved the number 295 on the back. So this is an error note. It's the engraving error 295. I found this in circulation, and I've found probably 3 or 4 of these in circulation. Keep in mind, I've been searching for almost 10 years, so you don't find many of these, and that's why they're worth money. If you search, 100 notes and find 3 things, well, those 3 things, three notes with the same design, those probably aren't worth anything. If you search for 10 years and find 3 notes, well, those are probably worth something. So that one is number 4. Number 3. Here's another error that you may come across. It's even designated by the grading companies as a solid star error. And when you look, well, here's what the star is supposed to look like. But every once in a while, something gets jammed in there, and that would be a solid star error. Those are worth money, and like I said, even the grading companies identify that as an error. That's a legitimate error. I think I've found 4 of these over the last 10 years, so they are not easy to find, but they do exist, and it is something you can run across. As far as value goes, I've never seen a price guide with these. I think it's a more modern error, but I heard there is a new error book coming out, and hopefully I'll be reviewing that once I get it, and hopefully they will be including this and a couple other things that I've been waiting for. So that one is number 3. Number 2. I did find this in circulation. It's not a solid. It's 11111114. It's seven of a kind. Eight of a kind, you're talking $1,000, but seven of a kind is still pretty rare, and this could easily be worth in the $100 range. So finding a note with serial number that is seven in a row or seven of a kind, most certainly going to be worth a couple bucks. You can find them; they do exist. I've found this one. I've got a $20 bill that's got seven of a kind, and I think I have, well, these are specifically seven in a row, and I do have, I think, one or two others that are seven of a kind. So the odd digit would be listed somewhere else. But that one is number 2 and most certainly has additional value. And finally, number 1. This is an actual low serial number. You'll see people that have a note that starts with 2 zeros and they'll say that's a low serial number. No. A true low serial number is going to start with at least 5 zeros. This would be known as a 3-digit serial number because it's 138. If it starts with 6 zeros, then it would be 38. That's a 2-digit serial number. Those can be worth $100, $150. A 3-digit might be in the $50 to $100 range. The 2 digits, you're talking 100, 150, and a single digit could be $300 or $400. So yeah, you can find these if you're looking for them. Everybody's looking for them, so that does make them that much harder to find. In all of my searching, this is the only one I've ever found. You see how hard that is to find? But do you see why it's actually worth something? Imagine if you were looking for trinaries and it took you 10 years to find a trinary. Yeah, they'd probably be worth something. But if you search for trinaries every week and find 3 or 4 every week, well, that's not rare. That's not worth anything. Something like this most certainly is. So that one is number 1 on my list. These are all found in circulation. I found them in circulation. You can find them in circulation. Some of them are worth a lot more than others, but most importantly, you can find these. All right, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.